Hey, this is Ramon, channel Alpha 4, and I am doing a short series on collections of ancient texts. I have other collections that are historical texts, and those are everything from Livy to Herodias. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the more entertaining stuff. This is going to be my last collection of this set of videos, and this is my biblical collection. Now, I am not including all the Bibles that I own, because I own a junk load of Bibles. I have everything from the NIV to the NAB. The NRSV is my favorite Bible, by the way. That's the one I recommend. No, instead, I'm going to give a very short collection, and at least one of these I'm going to get a different version of. So, and I'll get there when I get there. First, we have this right here, the Tanakh, which is the Torah, the prophets, and the writings, okay? And the writings are very interesting. But basically, this is the Jewish Bible, if you want to look at it that way. It's horribly to say it that way. Don't say it that way. When I was reading through the Bible the second time, I actually had this out at the same time. And the reason for that is because it has the Hebrew. Now, I can't read Hebrew, but I enjoyed being able to look at it and being able to, especially with Google Translate and other resources, check to see if the words are what the words are. And what's interesting is the names are completely different. The names in the Hebrew are completely different than the names that we have in the English. And I don't just mean like the way that from Spanish to French you get like little accents and stuff. No, I mean like the actual names are spelled differently, pronounced differently. How we get Adam, Eve, and Cain and all that from the way that it's pronounced in the Hebrew, I have no clue. But interesting read. I highly recommend this for anyone who's interested in religion, especially Old Testament religion, anyone who's a Hebrew who is non-practicing. I recommend it. Okay. Then we have the New Testament, and this is today's English version. I think I have another one of these from somewhere else. Back when I was in college, ministers used to go in front of the college and hand these little booklets out. Everybody would throw them away, but for some reason I was like, I'm going to keep this one. And I did. This particular one, I don't know if it's from those handouts or if it's from a previous handout, but still, these are cool little easy reads. Then we have the Koran, which again, with the Penguin, it has the English and the Arabic. And I read this a long time ago. I didn't finish it. I always said I did, but I didn't finish it. And I used it for reference long after I read through it. But when I read it, I was in college, and I had some friends that were Muslim, and they were kind of guiding me through reading it. But we never really got into it. And my understanding of this text is very incomplete, and I can say that wholeheartedly. And look, there's how far I got, right there, wherever that is. So right there. So I can say that my understanding is incomplete because when a controversy happened with Marvel Comics, where an artist did some, let's say, politically imprudent art in the comics of Marvel, of X-Men, I did not remember the reference that he made being in here. And so I had to look it up to make sure it was actually even in here. So what I intend to do is buy a study version. I'm hoping his commentaries will help clarify some of this text, because I'll be honest with you, from this to this pairs very nicely. These go well together. From this to this to this, some of the stuff in here doesn't fit very easily. In fact, it actually fits better with the Gnostic sometimes than it does with the Christian or the Hebrew text. So I'm not sure what that's about. So I want to read a study version just so I can get a better understanding of it. And then last but not least, the book I've read the least, Book of Mormon. Every once in a while, Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon comes through, and usually I'm like, yeah. I think I even took a Bible from a Jehovah's Witness once. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, not the point. Mormons. Yeah, it's. Look, man. I mean, I'm a philosopher. I have a degree in philosophy. I have an arts degree in philosophy, just to be clear, not a great degree. But I read a lot. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I've defended my faith to atheists. I dine with atheists. I love science. I read a lot of mythology and I take lessons from it. I can't get behind this one, man. I really can't, and I'm really sorry for any Mormons listening to this that might be offended, because I have offended Mormons before. I had 2 clients that were very good clients, and we started talking about religion, and I made the mistake of mentioning an ex-girlfriend that happened to practice, and I said some inappropriate, rude things to my friends who I love very passionately, and who I encourage their ministry, and I believe in their ministry, and I encourage them to do what they do. But I said some inappropriate stuff, and I offended them. Jesus, after he died, and I might be wrong in the way I say this, so don't get mad at me, came to America and taught the Indians, and later on an angel appeared to a dude, and they wrote a text. The text was lost, it was destroyed, a whole new text was written that was completely different but still the same. When I talk about tradition, I can get behind tradition, man. I can get behind tradition. I can get behind texts that are thousands of years old and say, yeah. I've even read some Wiccan stuff and New Age stuff, and I know that stuff is BS. I know that stuff was written in the 70s and the 60s on LSD. And at least it's interesting. It's informed on runic and druid tradition, which has been lost for centuries. So there's some kernel of truth, even if it's intuitive truth, or mostly intuitive truth. This, man, I mean, I had a hard time with this one. I was not able to get through it. It's not a dry read. It's not a bad read. I just wasn't able to get through it. So any Mormon who wants to explain to me, DM me, because I don't want you to get beat up in the comments, okay? Just DM me. Message me directly. Someone explain this to me, because this is the only one of the religious texts, and as you saw from the last few videos, I have a lot of religious texts. It's the only one I couldn't get behind. It's the only one that I was like, guys, I can't buy into it. Like, even the philosophy of it, I couldn't buy into it. So someone who's Mormon, explain this to me. And I'm not being a jerk about it. I want to understand, because I believe that understanding is the key to compassion and the key to peace. And I want to understand where you're coming from, but I had a lot of trouble reconciling this with the rest of my knowledge of reality. So anyway, peace, love, like, subscribe.